God says, you have just 3 minutes left, and the presence of someone you once held close in your heart, someone now resting peacefully in heaven, is drawing near with a message that your soul needs to hear. These final minutes are not filled with fear, but with something much deeper, an urgent whisper carried on the breath of eternity, flowing through the love of the Father and the peace of Christ, reaching for you gently, like the touch of a warm breeze on a quiet morning. This moment isn't about the end, it's about awakening. Something beautiful is waiting to be revealed to your heart, something only heaven could carry. Type Amen if you believe you are not alone, even though you have felt like it many times. Even when the silence seemed unbearable and the nights stretched on too long, someone watched over you with a love that never faded. God has always known your pain, even the pain you never spoke out loud. He counted the tears you wiped away quietly and the ones that soaked your pillow. His heart broke with yours when you lost someone so precious, and he has never stopped walking beside you since that moment. That person you loved, who you wish you could hug one more time, hasn't forgotten you. Love like that doesn't disappear when a heartbeat stops. It lives on through God's hands, wrapped in his eternal promise, transformed into a quiet presence that still surrounds you when you're alone, still touches your memories when your heart aches. Heaven is not far away. It's just a breath beyond what we can see, and right now, it's reaching for you with an open hand and a tender reminder that you are loved beyond measure. God never lets love end. The one you miss isn't gone, they're alive in the most peaceful place, smiling, free of pain, wrapped in light. And if you close your eyes and listen closely with your heart, you can almost feel the warmth of their spirit sitting quietly beside you. What they want you to know is simple, but powerful. Don't give up. Don't carry the weight of grief alone. Don't let the shadows convince you that your days have no more color, no more meaning, no more beauty. There is still so much more for you, because your story is not over, and God still has pages left to write with you. When Jesus walked the earth, he wept with those who mourned. He sat with the broken. He touched the lepers, the forgotten, the rejected, and gave them hope when the world gave them none. And he does the same for you, even now. His Spirit surrounds your wounds, not to judge them, but to heal them. He enters the brokenness not to remind you of your pain, but to pull you from it and carry you when your legs cannot. Type 1111 if you trust in God. Right now, God is trying to calm the storm in your heart. He knows how deeply you loved, and he understands that love doesn't just stop when someone leaves this earth. That love becomes a quiet ache, but also a reminder that your heart was capable of something so real, so pure, it reached beyond life itself. The one in heaven wants you to live, not just survive. They want to see you laugh again, even if it feels impossible. They want you to find joy again, because joy does not betray the memory of those we love, it honors them. Every time you find light again, it shines through their memory too. And in this moment, as you think about the person you lost, God wants you to know that healing doesn't mean forgetting. Healing means remembering with more peace than pain. It means letting yourself smile again without guilt. It means waking up and choosing to believe that the God who created the stars also created you with the ability to love again, to breathe deeper, to feel joy again, to live without fear of the future. This message isn't coming to you by accident. It's not a coincidence that your heart is still open, still hoping, still listening. God knew exactly when to remind you gently that his love hasn't left you and never will. The whispers of heaven are real. They are soft, but full of power. And they are calling you to rise again, not for the world, but for your soul, for your peace, and for the love that still surrounds you, even if you can't see it with your eyes. The arms of Jesus are always open, the same hands that calmed the sea, that healed the sick, that washed the feet of the broken, are reaching for you now. Not to scold you, but to remind you that you are worthy of peace again, that your sorrow does not make you less faithful, that your questions do not make you less loved. He is not far from you. He is closer than your next breath, and right now, He is whispering into your heart that you are not forgotten. You might feel tired. You might feel like you're only holding on by a thread. But heaven sees your strength, not your weakness. Heaven sees your faith, not your fear. And the one you love, the one whose smile you still remember, they see you too. They are proud of you. They know how hard it's been, and they are cheering for your healing, for your rising, for your peace. That soul you once held so close, who now rests peacefully in the arms of heaven, is still connected to you in a way that time and space can never undo. They have been watching, with love deeper than oceans, hoping that your heart will hear what theirs longs to say. This message is not a memory, not imagination. It is love, still alive, carried through the grace of God. Type 222 if you feel heaven close right now. Sometimes when the world becomes too loud and your spirit feels fragile, you may find yourself wondering if they can see you, if they remember, if the love you shared still matters. And in the quiet, there comes a gentle nudge, something within you that suddenly softens, a memory that warms you like sunlight through a window. That's not coincidence. That's not just your thoughts. That is heaven leaning in. That is God allowing the veil to lift just enough so that love can reach you again, so that the connection is not lost. You see, God doesn't create love only for it to vanish. He is the very author of love, and when we love deeply, we carry a piece of His heart, and when someone we love returns to Him, they are not gone forever, they are simply home before us. Their journey continues in His perfect peace, and they become part of the cloud of grace that surrounds us every day. They are not still, they are not distant. They are near, closer than we know, praying over us, cheering for our strength, gently guiding us back to the faith we thought was slipping away. The pain you feel from missing them, the ache that shows up out of nowhere, the way your heart tightens when you see something they loved, God sees that. He does not dismiss it. He does not expect you to simply move on. Instead, He wants to sit with you in it, gently tending to the broken parts of your soul, not in haste, not in pressure, but in deep, holy patience. He knows that some wounds take time, and He never rushes healing. That person you loved so dearly is now held in a place where there is no more suffering, no more tears, no more fear. They are safe, and they want you to know that. They want you to find comfort in that truth. They want you to stop wondering if they were alone in their final moments, because they weren't. Jesus was there, taking their hand, guiding them into everlasting peace. And now they want you to know that you are not alone either. God is walking with you, just as He welcomed them, and He is not finished with your story. Type 555 if you still believe God is working on something beautiful for you. There is still purpose in your life. There is still joy waiting to be rediscovered. You are allowed to laugh again. You are allowed to feel light again. That doesn't mean you have forgotten. It means you are living in honor of what once was and what still is. That love you shared, that deep, unconditional, soul-stretching love, it didn't break with goodbye. It became something eternal. It became part of the fabric of who you are, and it still flows through you, guided by God's hand. Heaven does not forget. Heaven holds every prayer you whispered through your tears. Heaven carries every wish you made as you looked up at the stars. Heaven remembers the way you loved, the way you grieved, and the way you tried to keep going even when your strength felt like it was running out. God saw all of it, and He never looked away. Not once. And now, in this moment, He is whispering into the depths of your soul that there is still so much more waiting for you. Not more pain, not more loss, but more light, more beauty, more healing, more moments that will make your heart feel full again, even if in a different way. More mornings when the sun feels like a blessing instead of a reminder. More nights where peace replaces sorrow. More signs that the one you love is still part of your journey, cheering from heaven's gates. There is a stillness in your spirit that God treasures, that quiet ache in your chest. It's not weakness. It's proof that your love was real, that you felt something sacred. And that sacred love continues, now sheltered in God's eternal presence. The person you miss is proud of you, proud of your courage, proud of your strength, proud that you've kept going even when your heart wanted to stop. Sometimes you may feel them in the soft wind, in the way the light filters through the trees, in the lyrics of a song you weren't expecting to hear. That's not random. That's not illusion. That's God allowing love to speak in ways that words cannot. That's God gently reminding you that He holds your loved ones safely, and that one day you will be reunited, not in a dream, but in forever. For now, let your soul rest. Let your heart be comforted. Let your tears fall if they must, but let them be followed by a breath of hope. You are not left behind. You are still on a journey. You are still a vessel for love, for purpose, for grace. And even as you walk through sorrow, God is building something new within you, not to replace what you lost, but to remind you that love doesn't end. It changes, it transforms, but it never fades in God's kingdom. But even now, in the quiet places of your heart, something stirs a sense that they are not truly far, not lost, not vanished. That stirring is not just memory. It is the divine reassurance that the one you love is still alive in the light of God's presence, and they are trying, through that light, to reach you, to remind you of something sacred and urgent. Type yes to affirm you feel that love still remains. God is the keeper of every heartbeat, every soul, every tear. He holds close those who've gone before us, not with distance or finality, but with eternity and care. When you whispered your last goodbye, when you stood beside them with trembling hands and aching hope, heaven was listening. God caught every word you couldn't speak and every cry you released when no one was watching, and He did not forget. That love was not swallowed by death, it was raised higher, lifted by His hands, and it became part of the eternal story He's still writing over your life. Sometimes you may sense it not in a loud voice or a dramatic sign, but in the quiet peace that comes when you're overwhelmed, or in a dream so vivid it lingers long after you wake. These are not accidents. They are threads of love woven between heaven and earth. They are reminders that God allows moments of closeness, even from beyond this life. Because the love we build here doesn't end, it transforms. It becomes part of God's forever. The person you miss, whose absence still leaves you breathless at times, is not trying to bring sadness to your days. They're trying to remind you that you are still living for something, that even in your grief, your life still has a holy purpose. They see how hard it's been for you. They've seen your moments of despair, your questioning, your doubts. But more than that, they've seen your courage getting up when it felt impossible, loving others even with a broken heart, trusting God even when it hurt. God wants you to know something beautiful, something that your loved one in heaven wants to whisper to your soul. You have not disappointed them. You have not failed in your sorrow. You have honored them in ways you may never see. Your tears have been prayers. Your quiet strength has been a hymn. Your journey through grief has been lit with faith, even when it didn't feel like it. And now, God is calling you gently forward, not away from their memory, but toward a life that shines because of it. Type 1919 to receive miracles if you believe healing is still possible. God doesn't rush your healing. He doesn't expect you to smile when it still feels too heavy, but He does gently ask you to keep walking, even if it's slowly, even if it's through tears. Because every step forward is sacred. Every breath you take in faith is a song to heaven. And every day you choose not to give up is a day that honors the one you lost and glorifies the God who still carries you. Maybe you've been carrying guilt too, the kind that creeps in during quiet moments, that makes you wonder if you could have done more, said more, been more. But God is asking you to lay that down now, to stop carrying burdens that don't belong to you, to let go of the weight that was never yours. Your loved one isn't blaming you. They aren't replaying the past. They are at peace. And they want you to feel that peace too. God wants to hold your grief not because you're weak, but because He knows what it means to lose someone you love. Remember, Jesus wept. He felt sorrow. He understands the depth of heartbreak, and that's why He doesn't offer you shallow comfort. He offers you Himself, His arms, His wounds, His resurrection. He offers you the promise that death isn't the end, that what you lost is not gone forever, that every goodbye in Christ is really just a see you again. The road ahead won't always be easy. Some days will still feel heavy, and the ache might visit without warning, but even then, you will not be alone. Your journey is surrounded by love, by the love of the one in heaven who still cares deeply for you, and by the love of your Creator who calls you by name. And together, they are guiding you, not away from your pain, but through it, toward light, toward peace, toward a new kind of joy that can coexist with memory. It's okay if healing feels slow. It's okay if some days still bring tears. What matters is that you're still here, still breathing, still trying. That is not small, that is not unnoticed, that is courage, wrapped in grace. And every moment you keep going, you honor not only your loved one, but the God who made your heart capable of such deep love in the first place. So let this be a moment where you feel held not just in thought, but in spirit. Let yourself believe, even for a second, that heaven is not far, that love is still being spoken over your life, that the story is not finished, that even now God is doing something beautiful behind the scenes, and that the one you love, the one who is now with Him, is smiling, knowing that you're going to be okay. It's something far deeper. It's the voice of the one you loved, now cradled in God's presence, trying to tell you something that matters, something urgent, something holy. And it's wrapped in love so fierce it refuses to fade with time. Type 1212 if you walk by faith and feel their presence guiding you even now. It's strange how grief moves in waves. Sometimes it's gentle and quiet. Other times it hits without warning, loud and overwhelming. One moment you're fine, and the next your breath catches because you saw something that reminded you of them. A laugh, a place, a song, even a smell. It's like your heart remembers them before your mind does, and in that moment it feels like they were just here, like they could walk into the room at any second. But then you remember, and that remembering stings. Yet even in those moments you are not alone. God sees the way you look for them in crowds. He sees how you carry their memory like a fragile flame, afraid it might flicker out if you stop thinking about them for even a day. But He wants you to know this, that flame is not dying. It's been placed inside you by love, and love, true love, the kind God creates, never burns out. It only changes shape. It becomes part of who you are. It lives in your kindness, your words, your compassion, your strength, and even in your quietest moments, it is still there, glowing. The one you love is not watching you with sadness. They are not looking at your struggles with sorrow. No, they are full of peace, held completely in the light of Jesus, where pain does not reach, where fear does not exist. And from that place, they want you to know that your life still matters deeply. Your laughter still matters. Your joy still matters. You are not meant to stay in the valley forever. God never called you to live in darkness. He called you to pass through it hand in hand with Him. There's a healing that happens not when time passes, but when trust deepens. When we begin to let God not just be a name, not just a story, but a comforter, a father, a healer, a restorer. He doesn't erase our grief, He meets us in it. He doesn't demand we move on. He helps us move forward, one breath at a time, and He never leaves us in our brokenness. Type 666 if you trust Jesus to carry what you cannot. You may have tried to be strong for everyone else. You may have smiled when you were breaking inside, thinking that if you just kept going, maybe the pain would finally ease. But God sees behind your strength. He sees the child in you who still misses them, the heart in you that still longs to hear their voice even once more, and He is not asking you to keep holding it all alone. He is inviting you to place that ache in His hands, where He can shape it into peace. The one who left this earth before you, the one you still dream about, still talk to in quiet moments, they are not a shadow. They are light. They are with God, and God, in His mercy, allows love to flow between heaven and earth in ways we may never fully understand, through a gentle feeling, through a sudden calm, through that moment when you thought of them and felt peace instead of pain. That is not accidental. That is a glimpse of eternity. And in that eternity, they want you to know that you did enough. You loved enough. You were enough. The goodbyes you said were heard. The prayers you whispered were caught in heaven's hands, and none of it was lost. None of it was unseen. You don't have to carry guilt. You don't have to keep asking what you could have done differently. You don't have to punish yourself with what ifs. God is not counting your mistakes. He is covering them with grace. There is a sacred beauty in the way you've continued to love, even in their absence. The way you've spoken their name with honor. The way you've chosen to remember not just their death, but their life. That is love in its purest form. That is faith in motion. And God sees it all. Every moment, every breath. And through that love, God is opening something new in you. Not to forget, but to live fully. To embrace the life still left in your hands. To recognize that the greatest way to honor someone you've lost is to live with your whole heart, to find joy again, to believe again, to laugh again. That is what they want for you. That is what heaven hopes for you. So as you sit with your memories, as you hold your grief with both hands, know this: you are being wrapped in grace. You are being led gently forward. And the one you love is cheering you on from the place where all is healed, all is whole, all is holy. They haven't left you. Their love, in its truest form, is right here, with you, around you, within you. Let this be the moment where you stop running from the pain and start walking toward healing. Let this be the moment where you believe again, not in the absence of sorrow, but in the presence of God who carries it for you. Let this be the moment where you breathe deep, cry if you must, but also hope. Because hope is not a betrayal of grief, it is what transforms it, and they haven't. In fact, they are closer now than ever, wrapped in the peace of heaven, holding a message that your heart has longed to hear. They see you. They remember every moment, every laugh, every tear, and they are speaking through God's love to tell you, you are not alone in this life. Type 2323 if you agree that love never ends, not even in death. You may not see them anymore, but they still see you. They see how much you've changed since that goodbye. They've watched you carry the weight of grief like a quiet shadow. They've seen your strength in the mornings when you didn't feel like waking up, in the nights when you cried into your pillow and still chose to get through the next day. That strength has not gone unnoticed. In fact, it has reached heaven. It has become part of your testimony, part of your journey of faith, and it is more powerful than you realize. God, in His mercy, never wastes pain. Every ache in your soul has become something sacred, Every memory that once shattered your heart now holds the seeds of healing. It's not that the grief disappears, it's that God begins to wrap it in His presence, so it becomes bearable. He never asks you to forget. He asks you to trust that what you've lost is not gone forever. And the one who's gone before you, they are with Him, waiting, hoping, watching, and whispering your name with love that has only grown stronger. Sometimes, love doesn't speak in words. It shows up in the small things, in the warmth of sunlight on your face, in the wind that moves through the trees just as they used to laugh, in that sudden wave of peace that settles over you out of nowhere. That's not a random feeling. That's not your imagination. That's heaven visiting. That's love reaching across the veil. And God allows those moments to remind you that His presence is near, and so is theirs. There's something holy about the way you've kept going, about the way you've learned to smile again, even with a heart that still hurts. That kind of strength can only come from God. That kind of healing comes slowly, gently, faithfully through His grace, His timing, and His hand guiding your steps. Even when you feel like you're walking through fog, even when the road ahead feels unsure, He is there. Steady, faithful, tender, whispering to your soul that you are seen, known, and carried. Type 2020 to claim miracles if you believe God is not done with your story. The person you loved wants you to remember the beauty of life. They don't want you to live weighed down by sorrow. They don't want your days defined by the moment they left. They want your life to be full of the same joy you once shared with them. They want you to breathe deeply again, to laugh without guilt, to step forward not in forgetfulness but in freedom. You honor them not just by remembering but by living, and God is going to help you do just that. This journey you're on is not about pretending you're okay when you're not. It's about learning how to walk through grief with grace, how to hold sorrow in one hand and hope in the other, and how to believe that joy is still possible even after loss. That's what faith is. It's not just believing that God exists, it's believing that He is good even when life has hurt you. It's believing that love never dies, that heaven is real, and that someday everything broken will be made whole again. Your loved one has seen your tears, and they have not gone unseen by God either. They were never wasted. They were never ignored. God held every single one, just like He held their spirit when they left this world. And now, He holds you both, one in His arms in heaven and one here on earth, still walking, still loving, still learning what it means to live with faith after loss. There is no shame in your sadness. There is no weakness in your weeping. There is only love, deep, enduring love that still flows between you and the one you miss. And that love, carried by God Himself, is eternal. It will never fade, it will never be forgotten, and it will never stop connecting you, no matter how much time passes. Let yourself believe that healing is possible. Let yourself trust that what feels broken now can still become beautiful. Let your heart rest in the truth that heaven is not far, that your loved one is more than a memory. They are a presence, a light, a spirit held in God's perfect peace, and they are holding on to the hope that you will find that same peace too. This is not the end of your story. This is a turning page. This is where sorrow meets grace, where pain meets promise. This is where God speaks softly to your heart and says, "You are not forgotten. You are still chosen. You are still deeply, deeply loved." And through it all, through the tears, through the memories, through the moments when you feel strong and the moments when you don't, He is with you. And right now, in a moment divinely timed, someone you loved who has gone ahead into eternity is trying to reach your heart with a message that carries no fear, no sorrow, only love, truth, and comfort that can only come from above. Type Amen if you believe that love never dies. It just changes form in God's hands. You may not always speak about them, but you carry them with you everywhere. In the way you care, in the way you hold back tears when memories return unexpectedly, in the way you notice things others overlook. Because now, you see through different eyes, eyes that have known loss, eyes that have looked for signs in the sky and begged heaven for one more moment, eyes that have learned how precious it is to love deeply, even if it means grieving deeply too. What your heart often forgets in the waves of sorrow is this: your love was not in vain. The connection you shared didn't fade with the last breath. It was made holy the moment it passed through the hands of God. The love you gave, the memories you made, and the prayers you whispered over their life are still alive. Nothing is lost in the presence of the one who holds all time, all people, all love. Heaven is not silent. It speaks gently through the love that still lingers. Your loved one knows your heart. They see the strength you've found even when you felt empty. They know how you've kept going on days you didn't think you could. That courage hasn't gone unnoticed. Heaven notices. And it's not just about surviving anymore, it's about slowly, quietly, gently stepping into healing. Because God doesn't want you to merely endure life after loss. He wants you to rediscover it, to find beauty again, to feel joy again, to see the colors that grief once made gray. And through it all, the one you loved wants you to know this truth that only heaven can whisper: they are okay. They are more than okay. They are free, whole, alive in a way this world could never offer. They are no longer in pain, no longer worried, no longer bound by the weight of this world. They are with God, and their spirit has never stopped loving you. That love hasn't been paused. It hasn't disappeared. It is alive as they are. Type 1111 if you trust in God's plan, even when the road has been hard. Sometimes healing doesn't come like lightning. It comes like rain, quiet, gentle, falling in moments you least expect. You might be walking through your day and feel a sudden warmth, a memory that brings a smile instead of tears, or a peace that settles deep into your soul. That's healing. That's God. That's your loved one sending a silent message through heaven's breath, reminding you that you are still held, still loved, still connected in a way the world can't explain. You haven't been forgotten by heaven. In fact, heaven watches you closely. Every moment you chose love over bitterness, hope over despair, life over numbness that was noticed. That was celebrated. Because every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory of faith. And faith is not the absence of pain. It's the courage to keep trusting God through it. Your loved one doesn't want your life to pause at their departure. They don't want your days to be stuck in the past. They want to see you thrive, to see you find meaning in the simple things again. That doesn't mean forgetting. That doesn't mean replacing. It means honoring their memory by living a full, beautiful, God-led life that still includes them in your thoughts, your prayers, your actions, and the love you offer others. God has not left you to figure this out alone. His Spirit is close to the brokenhearted, and He walks with those who are in sorrow. He is not distant or cold. He is near and kind, gently holding your heart as you try to make sense of a world without the one you lost. And while the world may tell you to move on, God simply invites you to move forward with Him, with peace, with promise. Even in the hardest moments, your soul has been surrounded by grace. The love of heaven is not a memory, it is a constant presence. You carry it in your heart, and it carries you in return. When you sit quietly and wonder if they still think of you, know this: they do. Not with longing, but with joy. Not with sorrow, but with pride. Because they see the way you've walked through the storm and continued to trust that the sun will rise again. And it will. Light will come again. Smiles will return. Peace will make its way into the places that once ached the most. God is not finished with you. Your story still has chapters to be written, days to be lived, people to be loved, and hope to be shared. You are not walking away from what you lost, you're walking forward with it, letting it shape you, letting it grow you, letting it become part of a life that still carries meaning. The presence of your loved one will always live within you, not as a wound, but as a warmth, not as sadness, but as strength. Their voice may not fill your ears anymore, but their love will forever echo in your soul, and in that love God is doing something sacred. He's writing a new story, not to replace the old, but to continue it. Because in Christ, nothing truly ends. It just changes form, deepens in beauty, and becomes part of the eternal. It's not just a passing thought. It's the gentle hand of heaven brushing against your soul, reminding you that someone you loved and lost is still near. They're not speaking through words, but through love that never faded, and through God they are asking your heart to listen. Type 222 if you feel them near you, even in the silence. You may have walked through seasons where grief was so heavy, it was hard to breathe. Days where your chest ached just getting out of bed, where you held back tears because you didn't want others to worry. You did your best to be strong, even when everything inside of you was unraveling, and still you kept going. That is something sacred, that is something holy. Heaven sees that kind of courage. And the one you lost, they saw it too. There's a beauty in the way you remember them. The way your heart still lights up at their name, how you still pause in certain moments to whisper something to them, like they're listening because they are. Love like that never dies. It's cradled in eternity now, held safely in the presence of God, and it lives on in the most quiet, unseen ways. Every time you think of them with love instead of pain, their spirit draws nearer, and God's peace begins to grow stronger in your heart. Sometimes you might feel their presence when you least expect it, while walking through a place they loved, or when a familiar scent fills the air. You may hear a song that suddenly makes your chest tighten with memory. You might even speak out loud to them, hoping the words reach heaven, and they do, because in God's kingdom, love remains the bridge between this world and the next. Nothing is lost, not a single moment, not a single word, not a single tear. It's all remembered, it's all held. You may ask yourself if you've grieved the right way. You may worry if your healing has taken too long. But there is no clock in heaven. God is not timing your sorrow. He is walking with you through it, with endless patience and grace. He is not urging you to move on, but inviting you to move forward with Him, with peace, with purpose, and with the knowledge that you are never, ever walking alone. Type 555 if you believe heaven walks with you every step of the way. The one you love has been watching you grow. They've seen the way you've reached for God in your darkest nights. They've seen how you've opened your heart again, little by little, even when it was hard. That kind of love from heaven doesn't come to haunt, it comes to encourage, to bless, to support, to whisper in the quiet, "You're doing better than you think." They don't want you to stop living. They want you to live boldly, freely, joyfully, just as they do now in the presence of God. They remember the times you made them laugh, the little things you did to show you cared, the way you loved them even when it wasn't easy. Those memories didn't die. They are alive in heaven's light, and they will always be yours. What you shared was not ordinary. It was soul deep. It was marked by God's fingerprint, and no goodbye could ever truly take that away. Sometimes people around you may not understand the depth of your love or the weight of your loss, but God does. He knew the moment your hearts connected, and He saw the exact moment your heart broke when they left. And ever since that moment, He's been drawing near, not with harsh answers or impossible expectations, but with quiet love, patient guidance, and promises that even now, He is bringing beauty from your ashes. God's love does not run out, and neither does theirs. That's why you still feel them sometimes. That's why your heart still carries them, not just in memory, but in presence. The love between your soul and theirs has only shifted, never ended, and one day, in God's perfect time, you'll see them again, whole, radiant, at peace, with arms wide open. And all the questions, all the pain, all the waiting will melt away in a moment of pure reunion. But until that day, you are still here, still chosen, still protected, still deeply loved. And you are not meant to walk in shadows forever. Your journey isn't just about survival, it's about becoming, about rising, about healing, about discovering who you are in this chapter of life. You're allowed to smile again, you're allowed to laugh, you're allowed to embrace joy without guilt, because doing so doesn't mean you've forgotten. It means you've trusted God enough to begin again. You are becoming someone softer, stronger, and more faithful through this pain. And your loved one is proud not because you've stopped grieving, but because you've started living again. Even if your steps are small, even if your voice shakes, even if some days are harder than others, that's still living, that's still faith, that's still the miracle of being carried by grace. You are never unseen. There is someone in heaven, someone you cherished, someone whose absence left a mark on your soul, who is still with you in ways the world can't explain. They're not lost, they're not far, and they're trying even now to remind you of something sacred, something life-giving, something God Himself wants you to hear. Type yes if you know deep in your heart that love continues beyond this life. You've come a long way, even if it doesn't feel like it. There were days when grief pulled you under so quickly that you didn't know how you'd make it through. There were nights when tears felt like prayers and silence felt like screaming, but you never gave up. Not once. You kept breathing, you kept standing, you kept trusting, even if it was just a whisper of faith, and all of heaven saw it. The person you love who once walked this earth with you, whose laughter still rings in your memory, whose smile you wish you could see just once more, they saw it too. Their soul is alive in the light of God's presence, full of peace, full of love, free of pain. They don't carry sorrow anymore, but they do carry love, a love that hasn't dimmed, a love that still stretches across eternity to reach you. It may not always be easy to recognize the signs, but they are there, in the gentle pull of your heart toward peace, in the warmth that shows up out of nowhere when you think of them, in the quiet reassurance that you are not forgotten, even when the world seems to move on without understanding your pain. These are moments when heaven leans close, when God allows love to whisper through the veil, and when you stop, when you slow down just enough, your soul can feel it. You were never meant to carry your sorrow alone. You were never expected to have all the answers. God simply asks you to stay close to Him, to allow Him to hold your grief as gently as He holds your heart. He knows how much you love them. He knows that your love was real and deep and true, and He wants you to know that He honors that love. He holds it with the same care He used when He created you, delicate, personal, tender. Type 1919 to receive miracles. If you believe God is still healing what's been broken, it may take time. Healing always does, but time doesn't mean forgetting. Time doesn't erase love. It only gives space for peace to grow where pain once lived. And slowly God begins to trade sorrow for strength, mourning for comfort, ache for purpose. He never replaces what was lost. He redeems it. He takes the love that once existed between you and someone now in heaven and turns it into something eternal, something beautiful, something that continues to bless your life in new ways. They don't want you to live in shadows. They don't want you stuck in yesterday. They want you to remember, to honor, to carry their light forward, not just in tears, but in joy. Because every smile you share, every kind word you speak, every time you choose faith when fear tries to take over, that's part of their legacy too. That's how they live on, not just in memory, but in motion, in spirit, in love that continues to flow through you. It's okay if you're still healing. It's okay if some days feel harder than others. You're not failing. You're not falling behind. You're moving through grief in the only way anyone truly can, with grace, with honesty, with small steps forward and soft moments of surrender. God sees each step, and the one you miss so dearly, they're cheering you on, celebrating your courage, and wrapping your heart in love each time you feel weak. There's a holy strength in being vulnerable. There's nothing weak about the tears you've cried or the prayers you've whispered through trembling lips. Those are offerings. Those are pieces of your soul reaching up to God, asking Him to hold what you can't. And He has, every time. He's never dropped a single moment of your pain. He's caught them all, carried them, and used them to gently shape the healing you didn't think would ever come. And as you keep going, one day at a time, that healing will start to look like new hope, like laughter that doesn't feel guilty, like a sunrise that feels like a promise instead of a reminder of what's missing, like peace that stays, even when the world is loud. This is the gift of grace, not forgetting the past, but learning to live fully again, even while carrying it. The one you love wants you to be free, not from their memory, but from the pain that tries to wrap around it. They want you to walk in light again, to find joy again, to wake up with purpose, knowing that their love didn't leave with their final breath. It stayed, it lingers, it holds you still, and it will meet you again one day, in the arms of the Savior who promised that not even death can separate those who belong to Him. Someone you cherished, someone whose absence still aches deep within you, is with Him now, held in perfect peace, and they are trying to remind you of what still matters. This is not a goodbye story. It's a love story that never ended, and in God's hands it never will. Type Amen if you believe love in God never ends. You've walked through seasons that tried to break you, days that stretched long with sorrow, nights that pulled heavy with silence. You've stared at old photos and wished for time to turn back, just to hold them once more. But God saw it all. Every tear you hid, every breath you struggled to take, every time you chose to keep going when you felt like giving up, and the one you loved, they saw it too. They never stopped loving you, not for a moment, not even after they left this world. Their love is no longer limited by time or space or failing bodies. It's now wrapped in the light of eternity, in the presence of the very one who created them. That love is free, it's unburdened. It is still reaching for you, not with sorrow, but with hope. Not with regret, but with peace. They want you to know that heaven is real. It's more beautiful than words can describe, and they are safe, they are whole, and most of all, they are waiting. You might feel a chill when no wind is blowing, or wake up from a dream that felt more real than anything you've known. You might suddenly remember their laugh, or smell something familiar that stirs something deep. These aren't coincidences. They are threads from eternity, lovingly placed by God to remind you they are not far, and neither is He. When you feel weary, when the world gets too loud and your heart begins to ache again, lean into that stillness, because it is in the quiet that God speaks most clearly, and His voice is tender. He's not asking you to rush your healing. He's not expecting you to be over your loss. He knows that grief doesn't work on a clock. He's only asking you to trust that He's still holding you, just like He's holding them. Type 1212 if you walk by faith and believe heaven is holding what your heart still longs for. You see, grief is love that had nowhere to go. And while it can feel like an endless ache, God is slowly teaching your heart that even grief is sacred. It means your love was real. It means you cared so deeply, it left a mark that nothing on this earth can erase, and He understands that kind of love. After all, He gave His only Son to walk through pain, to know loss, and to rise again so that one day there would be no more goodbyes. That promise isn't just a story, it's your truth. The one you miss whose smile could brighten your whole world, whose voice once gave you comfort, is not gone. They are alive in Christ. They are walking streets of gold, surrounded by a peace so complete, it cannot be touched by sorrow. And from that place of rest, they look at you with pride, with tenderness, with unshakable love. They see how much you still care. They feel the way your heart holds on, but they don't want your days to be swallowed by sadness. They don't want your light to dim because of their absence. Instead, they want to see you live, really live. Not just exist, but breathe deeply, love boldly, and wake each morning with the kind of faith that says, God's not finished with me yet. It's okay if you don't feel strong all the time. It's okay if healing still feels far away. What matters is that you're here, that you're trying, that you're open to letting God hold your brokenness and gently begin to make something beautiful from it. Not by erasing your past, but by adding grace to your present. He is not distant. He's not looking down in silence. He is with you, beside you, within you, whispering the same promise again and again. You are still mine. You are still loved. You are still part of something eternal. Your story didn't end when theirs did. It changed, it shifted, but it's still unfolding. There are still pages to be written, chapters filled with healing, with laughter, with unexpected joy. God is writing those pages with care, and the love you carry is being folded into every word, every moment, every breath. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is wake up and say, I'm still here, I'm still hoping. And that hope, no matter how fragile, is powerful. It moves heaven. It reaches the ears of the one you miss. And it reminds you that even through sorrow, you are being led by grace. Your loved one is not a ghost. They are not trapped in the past. They are part of the everlasting. And they want you to move forward, not with guilt, but with joy, to hold on to the best of them and let the pain slowly fade beneath the love. To believe, even now, that God is still working all things together for good, even the things that broke you. But what you may not realize is that your love didn't end, and your connection didn't break. The one you miss so much is not gone in the way it seems. Their spirit lives, safe and full of light, and right now, through the grace of God, they are speaking to your soul with a message only your heart can truly hear. Type 666 if you trust Jesus is near and holding your heart even now. There are moments when you feel a pull toward peace but aren't sure why. Moments where out of nowhere you remember something they said and it settles inside you like a soft wind. Or perhaps you catch yourself smiling at a memory and it doesn't sting like it used to. These are the gentle signs heaven gives us when we least expect it, subtle reminders that the people we loved never stopped loving us. They are simply loving us from a place where sorrow cannot touch them anymore. God allows those glimpses, not to reopen wounds, but to comfort them. He knows you're still healing. He knows how hard it is to carry grief that never fully goes away. But in His kindness, He reminds you that your love lives on, and it reaches across eternity. The person you miss is not standing behind you in the past. They are ahead, where time has no hold, and joy has no limit. They want you to know that you haven't disappointed them. Not in your grief, not in your struggle, not in your questions. They see how you've tried to stay strong, how you've cared for others even while your own heart was quietly breaking. They see how you've chosen to keep going, to keep waking up, to keep loving people with the same kind of tenderness you once gave to them. They are proud of you not for being perfect, but for being real. For staying soft when the world tried to harden you, for allowing yourself to keep believing, even when belief didn't come easy. God wants you to understand something that changes everything. Your sorrow is not a sign of weakness. It's a reflection of the depth of love you were blessed to experience. And that kind of love does not disappear. It just transforms. It becomes part of you, woven into your thoughts, your voice, your way of seeing the world. And though it might feel like something is missing, in truth, something eternal is now resting quietly inside you. Their love is not behind you, it walks with you. Type 1111. If you trust in God's plan, even when you don't understand it yet. It's not easy to move forward. Not when the past holds someone who meant the world to you. But God is not rushing you. He is not asking you to forget. He is asking you to trust Him enough to take the next step, knowing that with each step, healing becomes more possible, and love begins to feel less like pain and more like a quiet, lasting presence. The one you love doesn't want you to stay trapped in sorrow. They want you to laugh again, not because you're moving on, but because you're moving with their memory, not away from it. They want you to feel joy, because your joy was once their joy too. They want you to open your heart again to life, to love, to all that still remains, not because they're gone, but because they're still part of the story God is writing through you. You might not see what's ahead. You might not know how long the ache will last, but this you can know with your whole heart: God is not done with you. He is still working in you, still speaking to you, still bringing purpose to every part of your story, even the parts that felt like endings. In His hands, nothing is wasted. Not love, not loss, not even the quiet days where you felt like you had nothing to give. Every breath you've taken since the moment they left has mattered. Every single one. Heaven sees your journey, not just your pain, but your perseverance, your honesty, your resilience, your ability to feel so deeply, even when it hurts. And heaven celebrates you for that. Not because you never broke, but because you never gave up. Let this be a reminder that you're not walking in darkness. You are walking in light, light that carries every beautiful piece of what you lost, and light that God will use to guide you forward. Your life still has songs to sing, smiles to share, people to touch. A future to live, not in spite of your grief, but alongside it, transformed by the love that never left you. The days ahead won't always be easy. Some may still carry sorrow. But God is gently showing you that sorrow doesn't mean you're stuck. It just means you cared deeply. And that caring is never wrong. It's never too much. It's sacred. Type 222. If you believe love is still being sent to you from heaven, that love, the one you thought you'd never feel again after they were gone, is not over. It hasn't disappeared. It hasn't faded with time. It has only shifted its shape. It now lives in the stillness of your thoughts, in the warmth that surprises you, in the sudden calm that falls over you when you're too tired to keep holding yourself together. That's not just healing. That's not just your mind coping. That is God gently moving through you, and it's them. Still loving you, still close, still proud of how you've made it through every day you didn't think you could. You see, in heaven, time doesn't rush. Nothing is forgotten. Nothing good is lost. And the soul you miss is not stuck in the past. They're fully alive, more alive than ever, and their spirit is still connected to yours, not in grief, but in grace. They've seen you carry their memory with so much tenderness. They've felt your sorrow. They've heard your whispered prayers. And they've stayed close, not in body, but in presence, through the love that never stopped flowing. You may not hear their voice, but God hears your heart. He knows the way your grief sits quietly behind your strongest moments. He knows the way you want to move forward but sometimes feel guilty for laughing too loud or living too fully. He sees how you worry that healing means forgetting, but it doesn't. Healing means you've trusted Him enough to hold both your sorrow and your joy at once. Healing means you've chosen to believe that life still holds meaning, even after loss. Type 2323 if you agree that love in God never ends and never leaves. Your loved one doesn't want your life to pause where theirs did. They don't want you to feel stuck between remembering and living. They want you to breathe deeply again, to smile with your whole face again, to find new purpose, not because they are gone, but because they are still part of you, because God, in His mercy, has allowed their love to become your strength. She wants you to stop measuring your worth by what you've accomplished, by what others think of you, or by what you've failed to do. You were never meant to earn your value. You were created in love, by love, for love. And nothing you have faced, no failure, no grief, no weakness, has ever changed the way heaven sees you. In God's eyes, you are not a mistake, not a burden, not forgotten. You are His beloved, and in your mother's heart, you are still the light that brought joy to her days. She watches as you move through your trials, and she sees the faith it takes for you to keep believing. She knows how many times you've kept going, even with a heart that feels like it's been torn open. That's why she's sending this message, not just to comfort you, but to remind you of what you carry. You carry a piece of her, and you carry the Spirit of God. That is not a small thing. That is everything. There's still more ahead for you. She sees it. A new season is coming, one filled with the kind of peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, but flows from the assurance that you are exactly where you're meant to be. And even the places in your life that feel unfinished or broken will one day make sense. God is still building, still mending, still making all things new. The nights you spent in tears were not wasted. The days when you felt unseen were not empty. They were chapters in a holy story that is still being written, a story soaked in grace and filled with promise. And your mother is a witness to it all. She's cheering for you not from far away, but from a place just beyond the veil, close enough for your soul to feel, even if your mind can't explain it. She longs for you to know that the grief you carry is not something you have to push away. It's okay to feel it, to sit with it, to honor the love that created it. But she also wants you to know that you are allowed to find joy again. Joy does not dishonor what you've lost. Joy honors the life that was lived, the love that still exists, and the God who promises that this is not the end. When you feel tired, when the road seems too long, remember this: your steps are being guided. Even when you feel lost, heaven is not lost on you. God is directing your path, and your mother is praying you'll trust that every closed door has been allowed for your protection, and every delay is preparing you for something better than what you've imagined. You don't have to figure it all out. You don't have to carry it all on your own. What you do need is to keep your heart soft, your spirit open, and your faith rooted in something bigger than yourself. Let God be the one who lifts you. Let Him be your shelter, your provider, your peace. Your mother is reminding you that you were never created to live afraid. You were created to walk in confidence, not in yourself, but in the one who goes before you. She wants you to wake up each day not in fear of what might happen, but in hope of what God is about to do. She wants you to remember that miracles are real, and they often arrive quietly, through small moments that suddenly change everything.